Hello, beautiful people. Mic check. Mic check. Hello, everybody on TikTok. We're live on YouTube right now. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you. I can't remember when I saw you last. It's been a little minute. Once it's past 2 days, it feels like it could have been 3 weeks ago. It could have been 2 months ago. It could have been a week ago. Could have been 5 days ago, But once we get past 2 days, I can't remember how many days it's been, and it just feels like a while. I apologize for being late. I thought I had it all together, and then I realized I really need a cup of coffee. So I had to go do that for myself. So thank you for your patience. It's good to see y'all. Shout out to everybody who's watching. Hit the like button, share the live. Shout out to all the members, all the subscribers, and all the supporters in all of the places. And shout out to the best abs security mod squad holding it down. Okay? Holding it down. It is good to see you all. Maddie, hello. Spooky Ariel, hello. Some of y'all I ain't seen in a little bit. Q Smooth, good to see you. And Dara John, hello. Good to see you. Call me Wayne. How you doing, beautiful? Sunstar UV, howdy. Awaken Now, hello, beautiful. Furry Bee, hello. Kenvia, hello. Oh, God. She's 29. Hello, beautiful. Donna Tim, hello. Kelly, hello. Shirley Well, hello. Shirley Welsh, hello. All of us, hello. Johnny Winston Jr., hello. Good to see you all. I got booted off the live TikToks a little bit ago, so it's nice to be back. Tego, hello. Cartpath, hello. Users XYZ, hello. Behave yourselves. That's all I got to say. Raymond, hello. Woodstock 77, hello. Marilyn, Becky, hello, hello. Good to see y'all. We are gathered here today to talk about Black people in the Epstein Files, part 1. Okay, I've been thinking over the past couple days. We've talked about, certainly this is not our first conversation, right? But I have been thinking really hard about what are my focus areas going to be. There's so much, right? And my primary focus area, which I'm not going to be able to really dive into, I think just because of all of the things that are happening in real life right now, probably until I won't be able to produce content on it probably until the end of January. But my primary focus that I wanted my entry point to be is the fact that we are having a very limited conversation in America about who the Epstein victims are. The reality is that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked girls of African and Eastern European descent. This is why the islands went after him prosecutorially and went after his assets and sued banks, et cetera, was because not only are you here within our community using your island as a central waypoint for trafficking, but this impacts girls on our islands. So I've been doing, document retrieval in the United States and in the Virgin Islands to get these older cases so that I can really help myself understand what that looked like. Because Nobody talks about that in the American media. And, I am a statistic of a survivor. And I think about the statistics that are attached to women and girls of African descent who don't report when they have been victimized. The statistics are crazy. Um, and we don't report because we're the least to be believed. We're the least to be believed. There are people out there who are like, well, Black girls and Black women are not attractive, so why would anybody want to assault you? That kind of mentality is prevalent, and it's prevalent within systems in particular. So, law enforcement, prosecutors, we are not believed at the rate that white women and girls are believed. And so I thought, if there's anywhere where I'm gonna initially put some intentional focus, it is on what happened to the girls from the Virgin Islands who were trafficked, sold off, married off, etc. What can we learn about that? And then bring that to you all in some kind of, uniform packaged way that we can digest and understand and make sure that becomes a part of our consciousness about this situation. Because they're out there somewhere in the world. And I find that personally extremely distressing. Extremely distressing. So, when we talk about believe survivors, believe victims, say her name, we don't know their names. But we know that they're not the ones that are in front of the media in the United States of America. And that's no shade to them. That's no shade to them. But if you can't understand the additional bias that that can create, that's exactly why I feel like emphasis needs to be put on it. But that is a huge undertaking of research and writing and editing and all of that. And so based on everything that I've got going on in your life right now, I don't have that. I'm gonna be packing stuff up starting the day after Christmas, right? And then that's gonna consume, my first half of the month of January. So then that's my preface. So then I was thinking to myself, as I've been watching the web be revealed, right, of everybody who has been associated with Jeffrey, Ghislaine, yeah, basically them, right? Two overlapping webs. Um, Black people are starting to pop up. Uh-huh. Yeah. So I thought to myself, well, that's interesting. Inevitable. Inevitable. And not new information. We're being reminded of these relationships that have already been outed starting 2016, 17, 18, 19, right? So, when he was after he had been convicted, then he was arrested on the federal charges. Flight logs started coming out, right? So none of this information that is resurfacing today because of the DOJ drops is necessarily new information. It's additional context, but it's bringing up some interesting issues, one of which exploded over this past weekend regarding Michael Jackson. Um, I want to say very clearly here, and it will be in the description of this. I guess it will probably be a series, which is why I called this part one, because a minuscule amount of information has been released by the DOJ thus far with regard to the Epstein files that the DOJ is in possession of. So who knows? Who knows how long this is going to go on for? Who knows how many people we're going to be talking about? But I was like, let me start right now because we don't know who or what is going to be revealed going forward and in what context. And context is important. So understand that what I am about to say is not intended to soften anything that we discover or discuss. It is not some kind of passive, we're going to go easier on these people because they're Black. But what I do want to say very clearly from the onset is this series is not called, right, Black people on the Epstein list. It's called Black people in the Epstein files. That nuance right there is the context of the conversation. We don't know what we're going to discover. We don't know who done did what. But as Black people come up in the files, we're going to be talking about it. Does that make sense? That makes sense? If it doesn't make sense, tap out now, babes. You're not going to like it around here. If it makes sense, great. Great. Okay, great. So, and that coffee is hitting. um There's an incident that happened with regard to Michael Jackson over the weekend, and we're going to get to that. But we're going to start with one of the earliest documented, this Black person is associated with Jeffrey Epstein, is Naomi Campbell. Take y'all off the screen for just a minute so you can see the graphic that we're working with right here. Naomi Campbell. She's in this picture closest to me. That's Ghislaine in the blue dress, Naomi Campbell, Donald Trump, his evil wife, the first lady. And then the picture in the forefront, you see Naomi Campbell again. You see an identified victim, blonde, center bottom of the photo, and then the other red circle is Ghislaine. Okay. And there are survivors who are publicly identified and who speak publicly, who are still calling out Naomi Campbell over this entire situation, even though she has tried to put the situation to rest. So, according to Naomi Campbell's own previous statements from a couple years ago, she said that she first met Jeffrey Epstein socially after being introduced to him by her then boyfriend, an Italian businessman named Flavio Briatore, I believe. She has said that she knew him before his crimes were widely known and condemned what he did once the allegations became public. Her name appears in his contact list, flight logs. She's obviously in photographs with him and Ghislaine, and in publicly released documents. And again, she has, addressed this. And you know how Naomi Campbell is, especially if you're, Gen X, right? Naomi Campbell has a reputation for aggressively defending herself. And she's taken a little bit of every tone in this situation, right? She's taken the I did not know. I stand with survivors, like, oh my gosh, tone. And she's also taken the, I will not be held accountable for what this man did and blah, 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 blah tone, right? And the survivors who talk about her today often point to this photo of this young survivor. And their point is, you could see us. We were not a secret. How could you not know when you could see us? You could see how old we are. You saw us. How could you not know? Aw, shucks. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Good to see you. And then there's this. Jess B. Yappin says, Epstein isn't the only man of that type Naomi has been associated with. Her history is problematic to say the least. Indeed. Indeed. Especially when you get into men in fashion. Men in fashion. Several people who have been convicted of trafficking or forceful crimes against women or girls. One of whom I believe died shortly after or within some period of time after Jeffrey Epstein. Spooky Ariel says Naomi had a bad rep before for being a mean girl and abusive before she was connected to Epstein. She's going to have an uphill climb. And, I think age and maturity has helped me understand why, when Naomi Campbell went through her several years of being in the media because she threw a phone at somebody or she cussed somebody out or she got into it with them in the media, right? Got into it with somebody in the media. I was fairly young as a woman, and I had not yet experienced the full brunt and the awareness of the full brunt of being a professional Black woman in the world and how horribly people treat you and how that changes you. I've talked about that about me on this channel before. That I was not this person. And we've talked about some of the things that I've been through that made me this person. Hint, hint. Racism. Right? So, do I think that she was out of control? Yes. Do I think that some of her behavior was unacceptable? Yes. Do I also understand it? Yes. Nevertheless, and I can also see as I got older and I would look at Naomi Campbell, I also then had developed an understanding of media bias and how they were portraying her in the media. And then why it became so important for her to snatch the narrative of her life. And we've talked about this before on this channel as well, is you cannot allow people to weaponize you against you. And that was definitely happening to her. Two things can exist at the same time, right? She can be a bitch and also be experiencing harm. So just want to put that out there. Just want to put that out there. Somebody said she was very young when she got into modeling. How do we know that she is not a victim? Well, if she was by now, she should have said something. And that may seem real easy for me to say, but you are a public figure. You are at least optically very close to this situation. So if there is a greater context that we don't know, that should have come out in 2019. Is it fair to put that on somebody? No. But you're a public figure. You put it on yourself. So she's careful to make sure that the media keeps this association in a general, I knew him socially context, and not a, I knew what he was doing context. The survivors who were around her, their position is, you could see us, how could you not know? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know the answer to that question. But for them to, be pointed about making statements or content on social media, speaking to her, holding up photos. This is you. This is me. You could see me. How did you not know? I think the other thing that's really telling, setting Naomi Campbell aside for now, just in general, the more that we see of the island, his home, the rooms, the decor, the photographs, the paintings, these things were out in the open. They clearly show victims in vulnerable or abusive situations in color for everybody to see. You cannot expect the public to take you seriously if you have been on that island. You cannot expect the public to take you seriously in saying, I didn't know nothing was going on. Have you seen that house? Were you in that house? It seemed perfectly normal to you? That defies reasonableness. Defies reasonableness. Nothing about that place was normal. Nothing. Nothing. Whew. Marshall Irons. I didn't know anything weird was going on in the Playboy Mansion. I had no idea people had sex inside the Playboy Mansion. Have you lost your fucking mind? How many fingers am I holding up? Blink twice. What? It defies reasonableness. You are not about to play in my face and tell me that you spent the night on that island and you didn't know. You, boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Any PR folk, okay? Any PR folk watching this right now, any celebrities who are like, oh shit, somebody started a series. Yeah, somebody started a series, okay? Don't Let your public statement be. If you know, okay, let me back up. If you know that you are you have a memory in your mind that you were on the island, you were on the plane, somebody may have taken a photo, there's a possibility that something is going to come out with your face on it, with your name on it. Do not dare have your statement be, I didn't know. Don't you dare. Wrong move. Wrong answer. Nobody is going to believe you. And you are just going to create a greater problem for yourself. Boy, you better come with something else. You better come with something else. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. There is nothing about the statues, the paintings, the art, the everything. Okay? The photography out there in the open. Everything. There is nothing. Absolutely nothing. It wasn't even an island. It wasn't even really an island-esque home. It wasn't even that. It was closed in and sterile. You can get an Airbnb on an island anywhere that feels more islandy than that. Hello. Nothing normal. It was a compound. It feels claustrophobic. When you look at the photos, it feels claustrophobic. There were rooms in there that were very casino-like. And by that I mean no natural light. On an island? On an island? Really? What is going on? No. 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 Nothing about that. Nothing about that is normal. So, if you think that there's a possibility and you are crafting right now a statement for yourself, for your client, what they're going to say, I didn't know, isn't going to cut it. Okay? Okay. Great. I'm glad we had this chit chat. Let's move on to Chris Tucker. So we've known, again, for several years that Chris Tucker had an association with Jeffrey Epstein. This popped back up, of course, recently. Not only because of the files and photos and people digging back, what's already been discovered about, who's who in this orbit, but also because all of a sudden, a couple weeks ago, Donald Trump said, I want another Rush Hour 4. And or he said, I want another Rush Hour movie. I want Rush Hour 4. And we all said, what the fuck is going on here? And 48 hours, he said, I want Paramount to do it. 48 hours later, Paramount said, okay, we're going to do it. And we were all like, what is happening and why is it happening? What is going on and why is it going on? And, at this stage, Brett Ratner is persona non grata in Hollywood for his own scandals, for his own decrepit behavior, right? So he's got no currency to get anything done, especially financing and distribution of another Rush Hour movie. Like that is, he's nowhere in position for that. Nevertheless, that was the point that on this channel we discovered Brett Ratner has directed the Melania documentary that's coming out next month. And we were like, there's a Melania documentary. Now there's a trailer. Brett Ratner has also come up again because he's, in a recent batch of released photos. Anyway, so in an unflattering, position next to and clinging on to a partially naked famous white man. So it's not funny, but just the way that this whole thing has come about and come back around is crazy. Just crazy. So Brett Ratner apparently made his comeback with doing the Melania documentary, and through various conversations and blah, 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 Donald decided I'm going to put my whole fat body on the scale and get this next Rush Hour movie made because I just want it so bad. Oh, God. And now we discover through document drops that this relationship goes way back. This relationship goes way back. They've known each other for a while. So, Brett Ratner, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine, and Donald, buddy buddies. Buddy buddies. So that was interesting. So yeah, Chris Tucker. The Chris Tucker of it all. Ain't no way. Let's stay on topic. Thanks. Baby, they didn't need to recruit her, okay? Okay. She picked out a special outfit for the MAGA hostro and put herself on it. Okay. That's right. The documentary that sold for $40 million. Our jaws were dropped on that alone. Somebody bought that drivel for $40 million. $40 million for what? A Melania documentary? You are out of your damn mind. So there are multiple photos, but this one, which is center top, Chris Tucker, Ghislaine, they're at an airport. I had to crop it for the collage of whatever the fuck this is. And you'll notice there's a person. You can't see it very well, but there's a person who's redacted. Yep. There's a person who's redacted. Just like in this photo down here with Naomi Campbell, you can see us in plain sight. In that picture with Chris Tucker is somebody else who you can see in plain sight, who he could see in plain sight. And this picture is old. Chris Tucker was rolling with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell for a long time. A long time. I said what I said. I said what I said. She on stage doing the minstrel show right now. That's the only paycheck she can get. Because don't think she just showed up out of the goodness of her heart. That's why I said she's on the MAGA host roll. They paid her for her coonery today. Amen. Amen. We're going to talk about this in a minute. So yes, he's also obviously in flight logs, and there was a well-reported 2002 trip to Africa with Bill Clinton, organized by the Clinton Foundation. Again, all of this is previously known information. I don't know. Let me look. So from what I'm looking at right now, and chat, you can check me if I'm wrong. And I'm just missing something that I don't remember and I don't see in immediate internet searches. I don't believe Chris Tucker has ever made a public statement about this. And so when we're talking, and also it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter, right? It doesn't matter that you were previously outed as an associate. It doesn't matter if you previously made a statement. It's like this is like a rebirth of the situation, right? So everything has to be done over again, period. But to my recall and what I'm looking at right now, he has never made a public statement. And when you think about it, he didn't really need to, because by the time the association was public, he was way out of the public eye for the most part. He wasn't starring in number one blockbuster movies, I don't think, by the time it came out. So he didn't really have to at that point. But if you think that now today, you're just gonna, tiptoe around this and nobody's gonna like see you trying to sneak out of the room, we can see you. We can see you. I don't know that the two were related to each other. We did talk about an email. We did talk about Rush Hour 4. I don't specifically recall that those two things were related or that the email was written by him. I don't think it was. I have my own take on it, and I haven't talked about it yet, but I have my own take on it. So hold that thought. Okay, so Just Be Yappin is saying that when he was initially connected publicly with this situation, that he did kind of make a statement, but very much downplayed it and just said that his association was related to charity events, and that was the only reason he was ever on the plane. But that's not the question anymore. The question is, what could you see in front of your face? That's the question. What could you see in front of your face? That's what photos like that at the airport with Ghislaine, that's what that brings up. Also, you know how many people involved in international charity are involved in international trafficking and crimes against children? Like, we know more now about the world and society and how things work. Y'all better come with something else. 'Cause what could you see in front of your face? That's what people are gonna have to reckon with. You're gonna have to explain that, and that goes for everybody. What could you see in front of your face? Literally, the United Nations. People involved in United Nations leadership. What did you turn a blind eye to? So, yeah, what they have said before is not gonna fly today, and if they think they don't have to address it again, they're wrong. Especially if you gonna make another movie that nobody wants. Nobody wants that movie. That was the other thing that I was thinking when it was announced. When Paramount was like, "Yeah, okay, fine, fuck it, we're gonna do a Rush Hour 4." I was like, "I wonder, like, who does Chris know? Does Jackie know? Are they already signed on?" Like, just a bunch of rhetorical questions that were in my mind, like, would they actually do it? I just personally, I just don't think it's a strong career move. I just don't think it's a strong career move to star in a movie that that man demanded. He could have picked up the phone and done this all over phone, and then we would have never known. It just would have been announced one day that we're getting a Rush Hour 4, and we would have been like, "Huh, okay, interesting." But no, he had to go on national fucking television and social media and be like, I want a Rush Hour 4, and Paramount needs to do it." It was like, what is happening right now? Karaoke and vodka. The Rush Hour thing was too bizarre, and now the dots have been connected. I mean, look at that. A straight line. Bloop, 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 bloop. All connected. All connected. Yeah, buddy. All connected. It is just like, and it's crazy how just a couple weeks ago we were like, what the fuck is going on? And today we're like, okay, so that's what was going on. And apparently it's been going on for decades. But I love this for the Melania documentary, though. I love it for the Melania documentary. I love that in the past 24 hours, there is a photo of Brett Ratner clinging to a very famous half naked white man in a Jeffrey Epstein, cachet of photos. I love that for the documentary. I think it's great. you know, they they trying to figure out who Paramount Daddy is right now. Okay, Maury hasn't come through with the test results yet, but yeah, it's already in a bad place. That's what the last movie I want to see is Jackie Chan and Chris. I don't want to see old men and their little rom-com trying to do things that they should not physically be able to do at their big old ages. Go sit down somewhere. Nobody needs it. Nobody wants it. It's ridiculous. But you know what? I'm also like, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I want to see who's going to write it. I want to see who's going to star in it. What little special features folks are going to pop up? Is Don Cheadle going to be there speaking Cantonese? No, I don't think so. It'll be the most stereotypically racist buddy movie we've seen since the last Rush Hour. Oh my God, Too Spiffy. Oh my God, Too Spiffy 13 said they finna have DC Young Fly and Aquafina. Oh my God. Oh God. Oh man. It's just, oh man. The fucked up thing is I can see it happening. Oh God, you really be spot on, okay? You really be spot on with your zingers. That hurt. That was so accurate, it hurt. Yuck. Oh God. Mm, mm, mm. Sunstar UV. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Yeah. Yeah. So she is the worst. Forever will be the worst. I will always stand 10 toes on that. Fuck Aquafina. Red Lotus Diva's like, yeah, maybe they're gonna pivot. It's definitely gonna be a reboot, and Tucker and Jackie Chan make cameos. Oh God, I didn't even think of that. You're so right. Just like they did with what was it? Lethal Weapon 18. It had like Chris Rock. Am I thinking of that right? Is that the right one? Is that the right franchise? Or is it a different buddy cop? Oh my God. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. Oh, secondhand embarrassment to even read this out loud. Ocho Lethal Weapon 4 with Jet Li. It feels like you just made a racist joke. But you didn't. You didn't. You didn't. Mm, 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 mm. All right, let's talk about Michael Jackson, because boy oh boy did it get did it get heated over the weekend with regards to Michael Jackson. So, Michael Jackson is well documented as having an association with Jeffrey Epstein. The big brouhaha over the weekend is the photo farthest from me on the top, which again is small. I'll make it as big as I can here for a second. It's hard to see, but that is Bill Clinton, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, and then redacted children's faces. Walk with me. Here's my take on the situation. This photo was released by the Trump administration. This photo is also publicly available in unredacted form. Somebody from the White House, if my recall is correct, tweeted this photo over the weekend and said something to the effect of, this is Michael Jackson and, Bill Clinton, and then victims of Jeffrey Epstein on a plane or something or other. And the internet went crazy, and there are thousands upon thousands of videos of people saying they slipped this in. The DOJ is putting in things that weren't originally there. And this photo is proof of that, because this photo is publicly available. So you can see the photo in its unredacted form. What you can see in the photo in its unredacted form is that the children in the photo are Michael Jackson's children. But the internet decided, number one, this photo was not originally in the files. We don't know that. And number two, they slipped it in on purpose to try and make other people look guilty of certain things because this photo is publicly available. That is faulty logic, period. I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm saying that the logic that people use to get there is completely faulty. Just because this photo was publicly available does not mean that it was not also in the Epstein files. Just because somebody in the White House tried to, rage bait people with some narrative about the photo doesn't mean that it was not in the Epstein files. Okay? What we already know as a society, because we learned it in detail at the point that the birthday book came out and other documents came out around that time is that Jeffrey Epstein was obsessed with other people's children. I'm not suggesting Michael Jackson's children were victims of anything. But what we know and is documented on the public record is that Jeffrey Epstein wanted photos of other people's children. I'm not suggesting Michael Jackson gave him this photo. Not suggesting that either. But it is perfectly reasonable to assume, based on what we know about Jeffrey Epstein, it's perfectly reasonable to assume that he had this photo. The problem is the administration and the Department of Justice have no fucking integrity with the public. So when they pull little stunts, like trying to take something and spin it for their own stupid sidebar narrative, it sets people off into 1,000 different directions of conspiracy because they have no integrity. We can't take the DOJ's word as bond. You can't take the White House's word as bond. They have no integrity. And people are just looking for every instance of where they are trying to cover up information. I would suggest, releasing documents and then pulling them back. And it is the clearest example of them doing that, where Donald Trump is exposed in name or in a photo. That's actually concrete evidence that they're covering shit up. This photo does not mean what people have assumed it to be and think that we have proof that it is. We don't have that. We don't have that. To go from, there's no way to go from this is just another photo in a cache of photos to this was planted. They're trying to da-da-da-da-da. They redacted Michael Jackson's children because they're trying to insinuate blah, 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 blah. Like, there was a lot of conflating and a lot of confusion. TikTok, I'm gonna lose you in a second because my phone is gonna die. There was a lot of conflating and confusion of information to come up with a narrative of they slipped this in. It was never in there before because it's a publicly available photo. So one does not equal the other. Is it possible? Sure, it's possible. But it is equally possible and plausible that for whatever reason he did have the photo. And that's just that. That's just that. This, exactly. I'm not leaping in any direction is what I'm saying. I'm not leaping in any direction is what I'm saying. But for people to on the internet declare, and it spread like wildfire, this is proof that they are manipulating the files. No, the proof that they are manipulating the files is they redacted 90% of the documents that they released. And they released things that exposed Trump and then took them off of the website with BS excuses. BS excuses as to why. That's the proof right there. But this, they're trying to solely Michael Jackson's name. Respect, beloved, my brother in Christ, I hold your hands while I say this. His reputation is already sullied. Let's also not pretend that his children had a normal childhood or that he was a normal father who used nothing but conventional parenting methods. We have public documentation to the contrary. Two things can exist at the same time. No tea, no shade. It's a documented fact. But no way this was in the come on. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Peace, TikTok. Yeah, we're not going to do that. So I'm not saying Mike did this or didn't do that, or my position on whether or not he, we're not even going to get into that because it's not really relevant, right? It's just like in Drake v. UMG, where the judge said, I'm taking judicial notice of these things, such as newspaper articles, not because their content is accurate, but because they exist. That's kind of basically what I'm saying with regards to Michael. I'm not saying he did this, didn't do that. I'm not going down that rabbit hole, having that debate with people. I'm not doing that. What I am saying is the public record reflects many things about Michael Jackson that were problematic and troublesome. And we take notice of those things when shit like this comes up. I think that if you can be objective about celebrities, who's surprised? I'm genuinely not. Somebody asked me this a couple lives ago. Who so far has shocked you or surprised you? And I was like, no one. No one. Again, my surprise always lies in what is the circumstance of the connection? How did these people come to be aware of each other? How did they come to know each other? What's the connective tissue? Who introduced them to each other, or where were they when they came across each other? The one of the things that I understand very much about Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein is that they controlled their socialization with other people. They hosted the thing. And if they ever went to somebody else's thing, they went with a purpose. They had an objective. They never just went anywhere to kick it. So I'm not surprised. Uh-huh. So here's the thing. A children's perspective is not, first of all, I'm not saying that there was any funny business. I just want to be clear, but I'm still going to push on back on it. Second of all, he's not an expert in anything. So my pushback is the perspective of children is different than the perspective of adults because we know more, right? The other thing is key to grooming is understanding who you can groom and who you can't, whether it's because of their mindset or the circumstance that they're in, that they are not an ideal target. for your sick goals. And they're living and he's also Diana Ross's child. He's living an abnormal childhood. So, that's great. Nothing happened to him. Who's surprised? It's a clarification, that's great, but it's not something that weights the situation differently. I'm trying. I'm here for it, S. Carlton. I really am here for it. Like, yeah, I'm here. I don't know what else to say. Like, I feel like, um, you know, let me close out the mic and then, move on. Remember when you see hot takes about this, this thing in the files is a plant, because it is not difficult to use your critical thinking to come up with a reasonable alternative. Okay. And we need to be very careful at this very early stage of intentionally or accidentally casting the Epstein files as untrustworthy, as documents themselves. Like, consider the psyops of the argument. On drop day number 1, or maybe it was the day after, and there's this conspiracy being pushed by hundreds of thousands of people. And the conspiracy is not about Michael Jackson. That's not the language that they're using. The language that they're using is, they're using the Epstein files against people to make people look a certain way. So if in theory they're doing that to Michael Jackson, then again, rhetorically, in theory, who else who comes up in the future could they assign the same argument to? These people are not experts. They cannot authenticate anything, and their logic is faulty. So you could look at it just as that, or you could look at it as, oh, this is a convenient narrative to undercut the integrity of what else comes out. Don't let them play in your faces that way. Don't let them do that. So, well then. I think that, oh, thank you, beautiful. I think that I'm very happy with this first batch of official DOJ Jeffrey Epstein file drops, because I think it's been a complete disaster for them, and I think that's fantastic. I really do. I think it's great. I think it's great that they did not release everything before the new year, that they didn't release everything on the day that it was to be released as ordered by law and the courts in several cases. I think it's great that they have obviously tried to cover up and hide Donald Trump out of these files, and probably others out of these files. I think it's great that Democrats are up in arms, Republicans are up in arms, people across the aisle, across the country, not happy. Survivors, very vocal. And lawsuits probably coming. I think that is great, because from a strategic standpoint, okay, it is really, really, really risky to deal with a scandal or corruption at the end of a calendar year when you're on the side of you want accountability. When you're on the side of I need the news cycle to move on, it weighs heavily in your favor. Heavily in your favor. Donald Trump would be in such a better position if, and the Republicans in period would be in such a better position if everything had come out in one day. In one day. It took newsrooms 6 hours to go through all the files that were dumped on Friday. 6 hours. You need to hit them with a massive volume of information that is overwhelming. That is literally overwhelming. And then just let that play out over the holiday break. And when you come back after January 5th, the tone is going to be different. And everybody is going to be scrambling to figure out, like, what can they focus on? What do they, oh yeah. Oh yeah. But now, nope, that's not what done happened. We're going to be talking about this up to Christmas. When Christmas is over, we're going to be talking about it right after Christmas. We're going to be talking about it all up to December 31. When that little woohoo, oh my God, 2026, please come fucking put us out of our misery celebration is over, people going to be back talking about this again. And now that they have to have multiple drops, this is going to continue to be a nightmare for them into 2026. And I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier about that, because this needs to be an issue in 2026. That's midterms, baby. It needs to be an issue. I want all the things. I want lawsuits. I want somebody drew up, there's a bipartisan effort to impeach Pam Bondi. I want all the things. I want all the political theater, all of it. I want all of it. I want judges reviewing things in camera to determine which words in a document actually need to be redacted and don't need to be redacted. I want it all. I want it all. So, hat tip to the Department of Justice for royally fucking this up. Thank you so much for your incompetent service. Finally. Finally. To our benefit. So, yeah, I think it's great. I think it's truly Fan-fucking-tastic. I really do. You know what else is really fan-fucking-tastic? Jake Paul having his jaw broken in 2 places by a Greek god who also I got cut off, but I said by a Greek god who also happens to be black, because have you not seen Anthony Joshua? I rest my case. That man he's a killer. Anthony Joshua is a killer. He came to that fight with intention, purpose, and a mission. To knock out Jake Paul and teach him a lesson in boxing. To ring his fucking bell with a little dose of reality. There was no doubt in my mind. I don't think there was any doubt in anybody's mind. Quite honestly, if you're objective and you know who Anthony Joshua is and you've paid attention to his career, which I have, there was no doubt in my mind that he was going to beat Jake Paul. But he beat that man. He beat him. And the way he talks about it is so beautiful. So matter of fact, so unapologetic. There's not it's very humble at the same time. Do you know what I mean? It's not your typical boxing bravado or boxer bravado, because he's a mature man. Oh my God. But he broke his jaw in 2 places and it was beautiful. And right before it happened, you saw the fear of God in Jake Paul's face. You saw the fear of God in Jake Paul's face. You saw him cower. You saw fear. And the realization of what was about to happen, and that there was nothing that he could do to stop it. You could see that process across his face, and a sight to behold, a sight to behold. Andrew Tate also got his ass whooped this weekend in a fight, in a ring. With somebody wearing big old pink gloves that hits like he beat him. These men got beat and beat. It's crazy. It's great. It's just great. We just needed to mark the occasion because it's a long time coming. It's a long time coming that we've been waiting for somebody to box him for real, for real. For real, for real. And he boxed him for real, for real. I think that I genuinely gave this like a moment's a moment of considerable thought over the weekend. I think that if I think that if I experienced breaking my jaw in an accident, I would have one reaction. I If I experienced somebody breaking my jaw, I think I would probably have a panic attack. The acute knowledge of each word of that sentence. He broke his jaw. Somebody put their hands on you and broke bones in your body is a little too visceral for me. Yeah, I was like, I think I would legitimately have a panic attack. Yeah, I think that would make me hyperventilate. And then watching him afterwards in the ring answering questions and talking and, my jaw's broken. I was just like, there's nothing but adrenaline that's got you standing there being able to do that. Because your jaw is disconnected from the rest of your bone structure in two places. That's crazy fucking work. That shit's crazy. When I think about it too much, I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like it. Couldn't have happened to a more deserving fella, but the psychology of that would do a number on me. Mm-mm. Nah, nah, hard pass for me. Thanks. Thank you, beautiful. 2025 for a lot of people is the year of fuck around after years of find out after years of fucking around. Yep. And that white boy is so desperate to find some kind of purpose with his fucking life, but he's a racist piece of shit. And, coming out in, Hulk Hogan's gear and going, approaching the weigh-in stage like, a fucking chimpanzee, like, I'm gonna slap you as soon as you stand up. As soon as you go from that chimp posture, that chimp walk, and you stand up in front of me, I'm slap the shit out you. Because what the fuck is the matter with you? This is why people fight at weigh-ins. That's a real provocation to me. And since we fighting anyway, I'm gonna slap the shit out you. What the fuck is the matter with you? Oh yeah, I'm talking all the shit. But Anthony Joshua is, a refined, mature man. And he just told him directly to his face several times. And the fact that he could tell him there's going to be a moment in this fight. And then we saw that moment play out. And he told him beforehand several times what was going to happen. And then we watched it happen. Oh my God, it's glorious. I mean, that was glorious. That was divine. I don't even care. I don't even like boxing. Okay. But that was glorious. Both of them. He embarrassed both of them brothers. Because Jake Paul, I don't know. Jake Paul is what lets me know that. Let me say this. Jake Paul is another reminder of white men being delusional about what it is that they're capable of doing. Because his shock and anger and disbelief on his face, both in the ring and then at the hospital, was something to behold. And I'm sitting there looking at him like, first of all, you're obviously having big feels. Like, he was very stoic, but you could just it was emanating off of him, right? You could have chosen not to be on screen. You could have just stepped to the side. We wouldn't see you butthurt the way that you are trying to process what the fuck just happened. But as I'm looking at him, he's so shocked, even though he's stock still. They're interviewing Logan Paul, uh, after the fight, I think at the hospital, and his brother standing over his shoulder, just looking like, so it's distracting. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, he can't believe it. He can't believe it. What the fuck have you been telling yourself in your head that you thought there was going to be a different outcome today? What did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen? He couldn't process it. You could just tell. You could just tell that he was just like, I can't believe I'm standing here right now. He lost, his jaws broken in two places. Like, it was all over his stoic face. That's quintessential example of white supremacy right there. You really thought, if you really thought was a person, it was the brothers Paul over the weekend. You really thought. There have been people who have been like, well, we got to give him credit for getting. No, the fuck we don't got to give him credit for shit. We don't have to give him credit for shit. It's not courageous. It's audacity. Oh, he had a dream and he decided he wanted to be a boxer. You got to give him credit for stepping. No, I don't. I don't have to give him credit for shit. That boy is living off of nothing but, and has been for decades. That's why he's famous. White male audacity. That's it. I was just peeping his whole game. Everybody who works for you is black. You got all these black men around you, rubbing your shoulders, hyping you up, making sure you're hydrated and shit. But you are a racist piece of shit with a lot of money. Him and his companies paid for a lot of that. It's not courage, it's audacity. He's a sloppy, terrible boxer. And he's getting by through money, influence, and audacity. His form is terrible. So, no, I don't give him credit for shit. Well, hello, beautiful. Welcome. We're in the long black goodbye portion of the live. So the majority of the live has happened. These main topics, which is could be part one of I don't know how many how many lives we have about this, has already happened. So you can catch that in the replay. And then in the long black goodbye, we just talk about other things, things that I want to mention, things that the chat brings up, and then eventually the live ends and we go on about our days. Yes, he does. Yeah, and him being like, "Oh, I'll be fine in a week," or, "I just liquids for a week." That's bullshit. It's liquids for at least a week, and you're not just gonna be fine. You're not boxing anytime soon. And also, I would just boy, I'm telling you, the other thing that I was thinking about is I know it's cheap, but it's boxing at the same time, right? It's like if you know that your opponent previously had his jaw hit so hard that it broke in two places, where are you gonna punch him? Right. You're gonna punch him in his jaw. It's a handicap forever. I don't want to hear about well, the titanium screws and blah 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 and the bone is healed. Nah, baby. No. No, 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 no. That jaw's compromised forever. It's compromised forever. You only get hit in boxing in like 3 or 4 places. Sides, ribs, face. Now that you mention it, I don't remember that he was necessarily. I do remember him having a lot of blood in his mouth before his jaw was broken, from what I could see. I can't imagine that. I There are some fighters who are getting into those, like, basically little micro mouth guards, which is dumb. I would imagine if a ref noticed, they would have paused the fight if he just straight up didn't have one, if it was noticed, because you can't just, I'm not gonna wear one." They're gonna be like, "The fuck you're not. Where's your fucking mouth guard?" So, who knows? Hello, V Conley, good to see you. Yep, Jake Paul and Andrew Tate got knocked out this weekend. I mentioned Andrew Tate, but, fuck him. Fuck him. And I ain't got nothing else to say. Old trafficking ass nasty mofo. Jake Paul is a little bit more symbolic, and we really needed that one. We really needed that one. The Andrew Tate is just a nice cherry on top, though. Somebody brought it up in the Discord, and I was like, they must be talking about something old. And then I went and looked, and I was like, no, this literally just happened yesterday. He got mollywopped, mollywopped by a basic boxer, bless his heart, no shade, but a basic boxer with terrible form, and whooped his ass. Just nothing but determination. Nothing but determination to just keep hitting him. Just keep hitting him. Sometimes that's all you got to do is just keep hitting him. Yeah, he was gassed. So he's panting in the fight because he's running around the ring. And, you know, to me, Jake Paul's weight gain doesn't look intelligent to me. And if you're wondering if I saw the little documentary that he did on his whole training regime and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I did. I watched it because I wanted to see things like that. How does he train? What is his focus on? And it's all right. But for the amount that he moves around that ring, And the pace at which he moves around that ring and the weight on his body, it's not an efficient use of energy. So he was gassed. He's tired. His form is terrible. He's hunched over, mouth hanging open. You should be clenching your jaw. Ugh. type shit. Nope. Hanging on him. It just seemed so like, yeah. This is what a Jake Paul fight is supposed to look like. It's supposed to be Jake Paul looking terrible. This is what we've been waiting to see on every front. It doesn't look good. Hi, beautiful. Yes, his arms were down like he was hunched over. Hunched over. I've seen a couple different Jake Paul fights, and I think just again, all the way around, his worst performance. His form was terrible. And I also don't think that he is in any position whatsoever to bring his personality into the ring. You have to be an elite boxer to do that, and he is not elite. You need to be in there handling business. You need to be methodical, and you need to be focused on executing the fundamentals. And he was running around and making faces at him and wagging his tongue at him. He lucky he still got a tongue. As much as it was out over his teeth during that fight, he's lucky he didn't get put in a position. One uppercut, a fifth of that tongue is gone. K Sharp, I am form was trash, like his spirit. Dang. Yeah, he's like he wants the mass and the weight and like the appearance of a boxer, but your body and your conditioning cannot carry your own fighting style. If that's your fighting style, your physique and your conditioning aren't capable of carrying that against an elite boxer. So I definitely think he's going to continue fighting. He's got contracts and business deals and a bunch of things that, are incentive to keep going. But this is also an opportunity for him to take a minute. Yeah, take a minute. Will he take that opportunity? Who the fuck knows? But I would not, I, boy, you would not be able to convince me. You'd have a real hard, it would have to be my life's passion. And life's passion is something that you would do without money. It would have to be my life's passion that would get me back in the ring after an injury like that, because that would fuck with my head. And again, it becomes a handicap going forward forever. And people are going to take advantage of it. And that would be very difficult psychologically to come to grips with before stepping into the ring ever again. People are going to try and break your jaw. heretofore to win. Oh, that's scary. That's really scary, guys. I don't like it. Ugh. I mean, he was saying things, he says things like, we got two of the best boxers in the world. And for a minute, I'd be like, who the fuck is he talking about? Oh, this motherfucker's talking about himself. And Anthony Joshua, you think that you compare. Again, this is the audacity. The audacity to think that you compare. You're not even in a heavyweight division. You're not even in a heavyweight division. Literally, I was like, wait, who else is on the card of fights tonight? Like, who the fuck is he talking? Oh, he's talking about himself. The fact that he could set up a fight with Mike Tyson and then think that beating Mike Tyson means that he is a good boxer is dumb. But this is white people with obscene wealth. When you are a white person with obscene wealth, you can create your own reality. And then you can pay other people around you to make that their reality too, to reinforce the reality that you have made up in your fucking head. That Mike Tyson fight means nothing with regard to Jake Paul's boxing. Nothing. He did that to reinforce his own bullshit in his mind. It's crazy to watch. That's what we're watching with Jake Paul's career. Just a white man who is carving a reality for himself out of money. And everybody else is a paid actor. The audience is a paid actor. The other fighter is a paid actor. Even Anthony Joshua, who went in there with a mission, said, no, I'm going to beat the brakes off of him. My job is to knock him out. Every other fighter, everything. It's all just theater for one man's ego. Hundreds of millions of dollars for one man's ego. Merca, baby. Merca. Lee Mubai says, I still don't think the Tyson fight was legit. Baby, how could it be legit? There is no legit fight when one of the people is old enough to be your grandpappy and is retired. The end. Let's talk about the greatest things to happen in sports this week. The greatest thing to happen in sports this week was that the Seahawks beat the Rams on Thursday Night Football in spectacular fashion. as the Seahawks are wont to do. We do like a little bit of, stress, drama, anticipation, nail biting. We love a good overtime. Apparently now we also love 2-point conversions because we had 3 of them in a single game. What? What? I tell you, I wanted the Rams to lose so bad Thursday that I turned the game off. Not because I didn't think the Seahawks I did not have a we're gonna lose, that wasn't it. It was literally just like I am emotionally way too invested in this. I need to remove myself from this situation because I'm just way too emotionally invested in this situation for multiple reasons, right? But then my son called me in the 4th quarter and was like, "Are you watching the game?" And I was like, "No, I said something dumb." And he was like, "You need to turn on the game right now. I just saw something that I've never seen before." And it was one of the 2-point conversions. So his call to me was pretty early in the 4th quarter because that was the first thing I said when he said, "You need to turn it on right now." I said, "Is it the 4th quarter?" He was like, "Yes." So when I turned it on, it was very early in the 4th quarter. And yeah, that was spectacular, spectacular chef's kiss moment. I needed the Rams and their arrogance and their quarterback to learn some lessons. And the Hawks like handing out lessons, so they did that in spades on Thursday night, and I would just like to thank them for that. That was beautiful. It really fed my soul. Thank you for your service. Um, the Browns beat the Packers. Wait, no, the Bears. The Bears. Sorry, not the Browns. The Bears. It's fucking Bears, Browns, Bengals. All I see is the B in my head. The Bears beat the fucking Packers. And that was also something to behold. And I know the feeling. Seahawks fans know what Bears fans have gone through because we went through it ourselves. Okay. I'm talking about a franchise history of suffering. That's right. A franchise history's worth of suffering. But love, suffering, but love, commitment, dedication to your team, but suffering, suffering, suffering. And I just love watching moments like that because I identify. I totally understand. I started going to Seahawks games. I've shared this before with my grandfather at a very, very early age. He was one of the first Black people to have season tickets in the kingdom. Yes, I'm old, old. I'm artifact old. So obviously I have a very complicated relationship with football as a Black person in America. So, but that aside, it will always have, I hold two realities at the same time, which is that football was beloved in my family because of my grandfather. And being able to experience like my grandfather and grandmother, my parents, my siblings, and my children all in the same room watching them win the Super Bowl, I will cherish that forever. And my kids do as well. But nevertheless, complicated history. But I remember Save Our Seahawks. I remember people laying down their bodies to stop the trucks. I remember people running to court for emergency injunctions to prevent the sale. And I remember freezing my ass off and suffering loss after loss, season after season. Come close, never quite get there. It's the story of, Seattle's pro teams, except for the women. They always seem to go the distance. But anyway, the men. Um yeah, so I get it. When your team really finally starts cooking and you really have 2 feet firmly planted in, "Oh, we win games now." It's a different experience to have, and then you get to some kind of clutch situation. Um, I remember for the longest time, the Seahawks' downfall was the 49ers. Trying to get past the 49ers. And when that started happening for the Seahawks, that was one of the ways that we knew, "Oh, we win games now. We ball like that for real now." And so watching the Bears beat the Packers and watching their fans react to that, all I could think was, "I'm so happy for them because I know what that feels like. I identify." There are people that have gone their whole lives, literally their whole lives, waiting for that. And, we're taking the joy where we can get it. But I thought those were 2 of the best sports moments of the week was the Seahawks beating the Rams and the Bears beating the Packers. Just be doing the damn thing. You know? The storm be doing the damn thing. Dreams are gold. It's good to see you. Yeah. I mean, I will there will be a part of me. I come and go from watching football just based on how I feel, but I will always love the Seahawks. Always. I will always love the Seahawks because they are a team that has had a material impact on my community, on my family, several generations. Um, so that will always be true, and I'll never be sorry for that because they have had a material impact on my community here. So and then everybody else just got to benefit from that. But their intention has always been clear. Um, but yeah, football is complicated overall as a league and a power player for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's really nice. It's nice to see the underdogs. It's nice to see the Cinderella stories. It's also nice, like I said, like I've needed the Rams to lose more than I needed the Seahawks to win, like emotionally. Do you know what I mean? Emotionally, I needed the Rams to lose, which really didn't have anything to do with, "Yay, the Seahawks won." They were 2 completely different things. It would not have mattered who the fuck was playing the Rams, just about. I need them motherfuckers to lose this week in particular. We all saw the headlines. So, that was just that's why I said I was way too invested in that particular outcome. Mhm. Yeah, man. It's rough. It's rough when they break your heart. I've already shared on here, what happened the next time we went to the Super Bowl and how that devastated my child, and I was furious because he was heartbroken. He was, like, 12 or something, and boy, that last play, it was over, and he broke down crying. I was like, "Mother bitch." Y'all done broke my baby's heart. I still ain't forgot. Still ain't forgiven him for that, but I put that game out of my mind because it's too heartbreaking and it's too traumatic. I focus on the good, which is that we beat the fucking brakes off of the Broncos in the Super Bowl. We had an undeniable win and damn near a flawless game. And, had really, really strong seasons around that. The season before, the season after, the season after. Um, but this season definitely feels like a return to an undeniableness. And that I would say that would be the one notch that I put on, I don't I want them to fucking lose, but also for the Seahawks to beat the Rams. We don't always have the best of luck. For it to be this late in the season, for there to be so much on the line, I was like, I want them to have the dub. I want Seattle to have that dub and to take it off of them. But I need them motherfuckers to lose. Kansas City is out of there. I'm like, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, everybody who's involved with the Kansas City franchise can go to the Turning Point USA Super Bowl halftime show that their little Aryan princess, heir to the fucking franchise was talking about, wanting. Go to that because you won't be at the Super Bowl, ho. You ain't got no reason to be at the Super Bowl, ho. Certainly not for the halftime show, ho. I don't know why saying "ho" like that reminded me. It was the TDE annual Christmas bonanza in the hood. Yeah, it was an interesting week in news that wasn't, the Epstein Files. That looked much better organized this year than last year. It was a little chaotic. No, I'm not talking about Taylor Swift. I'm talking about the daughter of the owners of the Kansas City Chiefs was sneak dissing on social media with regards to the Super Bowl halftime show and which show she would prefer. She would prefer the Turning Point USA halftime show over Bad Bunny. Ho, go. Go there. Wherever the fuck it is that they have it. Parking lot of a mattress store or wherever. Ho, go to that show. Have fun. Because you have no business being at the Super Bowl this year. I really feel like the universe stamped its decision when Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL. I said, "Ooh, y'all really ain't gonna win the Super Bowl this year." No, the football gods just said, "Actually, no. Actually, no. Damn." I do believe that that is his first major injury that has required, like, surgery and all of that. Fried chicken. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Take your bland non-seasoning ass on to the TP USA halftime show. Y'all have fun. Y'all have good old time. Ho. Oh, yeah, it's been interesting. I don't know if you saw the, conversations for the culture with, the fabulous Mr. Foxwell, but if you didn't, it's a good one. It's a good one. Oh my god, Kim Tillman. My husband's middle name? Yams, probably. I'm dead. I'm dead. Patrick Fried Chicken and Yams. Mahomes. I could see it. Uh-huh. Now that I've said it, it seems legit. Hey, it's good to see you, beautiful. Yeah, it's man. Mm, mm, mm. I think it is. I absolutely think they're gonna go to the distance. I absolutely think that Travis and Taylor are gonna go the distance. Because I think that, everything that's happening right now with Taylor, and I've said this before, but everything that's happening, the end of an era is an end to Taylor Swift as the fandom has known her and knows her now. I think we are going to see a huge shift in Taylor Swift, starting with there's going to come a point, right, in the next 2 to 3 years that we're not going to see her anymore. I think she's focused on that we're not going to see her anymore because she's going to go and live her life. But I do think that they're going to go the distance because I personally think temperamentally, I think that Taylor Swift is in many ways similar to Kylie Kelsey. I think that she has found a place where she can be as normal as is possible to be normal. And I think whether it's reasonable or possible for her to want that or reach for that, that's what she's going for. Do you know how rich she is? Taylor Swift doesn't have to work another day in her life. The residuals are stupid. The residuals are stupid. And she can do other things to make money besides make music. She wants to direct feature-length films, as an example. So, there are other things that she can do to make money, but Taylor Swift is filthy fucking rich in cash and assets. So, she's perfectly fine. She's perfectly fine. I saw somebody say that he's gonna run her pockets and she's gonna be broke. He can't spend that much money, and he doesn't live that kind of a lifestyle. So, I don't think it's reasonable to assume that he's gonna start. Baby, she could do an album of remixed songs, right? She's got so much IP already that she could just repackage something. Again, she could do, a collection of remixed music with special feature artists and release that. She ain't got to do shit for that. She ain't got to go on tour for that. She ain't got to go on, late night shows and perform for that. She just got to decide that she's going to release it and they will buy it. If she sneezes and wipes her nose, she can put the tissue paper. It'll make money. That's where she's at right now. She makes money in her sleep. That's a wealthy person. When you're making money in your sleep, you make money on vacation doing nothing. Right, because the cash grab off of Showgirls is crazy. There's a lot of merch with that release. A lot of merch. A lot of merch. So, but she's clearly, I'm not watching the docuseries, but I can see clips online and she's doing all of the things that put a bow at the end of a book. This Taylor, as we know her, is done. Yeah, and I feel like, she'll do some unconventional stuff music-wise probably because she just can. She can do an album. She said she wants to have children. Um Travis is very clear that he wants to have kids and has always been that way before Taylor. She could do fucking an album of lullabies and write a series of children's books. Might surpass Harry Potter. It would do very well, is my point. Might not do that well, but it would do very well. Very well. Acoustic Taylor singing to babies? Are you kidding me? No tea, no shade. My Thai Bride 99. The Eras Tour is a feat. It really is. It is a feat. But I saw the clip of her saying, like, that she's running on the treadmill, part of her training. One of the examples that she gave. She's running on the treadmill to the tempo of the songs that she's going to be performing, and she's singing out loud and blah, 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 blah. And I thought to myself, Beyonce was doing that when she was 12 years old. And even in all of Taylor Swift's glory, she is still mediocre as fuck. I think that's one of the things that has been most Interesting to me as I observe myself observing these clips online and people losing their shit. Like, yes, it's extraordinary. It's beautiful. It was a long and complicated, tour and a very long show and all of the things. And it is theatrical and I'm not taking any of that away. It's also mediocre. And I understand that it's fascinating to me to watch her basically talk about how she's really going all out for the first time ever in her career. The physical training, there's just everything that she talks about, and I was just looking at her and thinking to myself, "The fucking privilege. The fucking privilege." And what's crazy to me is when I'm seeing the clip of her talking about, like, "Well, now I'm running on the treadmill," practicing the songs at the speed that I'm running through them in the concert and blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking to myself, everybody knows that Beyonce did that. Destiny's Child did that, period. It's a widely known fact. And I was thinking to myself watching the clip, I wonder if she is going to mention Beyonce. And of course, she doesn't mention Beyonce. She's just this is her moment. This is her commitment. This is what she is willing to do. It would have been no skin off your nose. Actually would have been a solid gain for you to tip your hat. Destiny's Child was onto something when they were doing this 25 years ago, because that's what I did to get prepped for eras. Made me think about, I'm not a savage, blah, 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 blah lyrics on her problematic ass album. So, and you know, I don't like to do the Beyonce versus Taylor thing because I don't think there's any comparison. The only similarity that they have is that they both make music. After that, there's no comparison between Taylor and Beyonce because Beyonce is a black woman and Taylor is a white woman. There's no comparison. Especially when you realize just how much Taylor Swift has focused on creating the appearance of and maintaining the appearance of girldom. Girldom, to be a girl. Beyonce a whole ass woman. It's a woman, you know? So, obviously, she's dancing like a cheerleader who took a couple summers of jazz dance. That's Taylor. You cannot compare. You just can't compare these 2 for nothing. I talked about it already. I'm not gonna watch it because why would I do that? I don't watch trash, and I don't care to watch somebody who's hoeing themselves for white supremacy dollars. I don't care to participate in that. Not my monkey. I said what I said. Not my show. Yeah. Yeah, I said what I said. Not my monkey. Not my show.
High five. I'm bulletproof.
I'm too busy focused on a grown woman. Grown woman. Beyonce knows quarter. This is completely off topic. I don't need to, the other thing is just because things are available doesn't mean you need to watch them. I have enough Nicki Minaj content on this channel, and I don't feel like repeating myself. Whatever it is that she has done today, go watch an older video of mine in your mind. Just replace what I was talking about then with whatever the fuck it is she did today. Timely content. I'm not going to repeat myself about Nicki Minaj. She's a white supremacist and a toxic, decrepit human being. Period. Moving on. I know that. I don't need to revel in ongoing proof of it. Same shit, different pile. I'm just completely not interested in any of that. So, yeah. Well, y'all, this was a great live. We covered a lot. I don't know if I will see you before the Christmas holiday. We'll just see what, how the days go. I will definitely see you before New Year's, though, I would imagine. Yeah, I was trying to decide if I was going to hold starting this discussion about Black people in the files until the new year, but I thought to myself, nah, girl, you don't know what's coming next and when they gonna dump it. Let's be timely. Let's stay on top of it to the best of our ability. So I will definitely have that as my priority. But yeah, we'll see how the week goes. I may see you before the holiday. I may not. But if I don't, remember I love you deep this holiday season, okay? Don't let biscuit head family members get to you. All right? Amen. 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 Protect your peace. Protect your peace this holiday season and try and surround yourself with people who love you and are not harmful. And if you can't do that, then surround yourself with yourself and don't go around those people. Thank you, beautiful. That's a choice too. You do not have to go see family. I can't stand it when people say, well, I had to go. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. The gift that you can give yourself this weekend is to be courageous, be selfish, be protective of yourself. That's the best thing that you can do for yourself. Because I know that people are exhausted. And it doesn't necessarily feel like the holiday season, even if you have something planned. Right? Trees up, presents are wrapped, parties on such and such a day, and it just doesn't feel like it. I totally understand. Because we have been traumatized this year and we are exhausted. right? We've been traumatized, we've been harmed in other ways as a society, as individual people who have lost their jobs or their loved one has lost a job. They didn't get the bonus this year that enables Christmas because tariffs or whatever. Totally stressed out about next year because healthcare is not being renewed. These things are stressful and they are real, and you are not under any obligation to fake the funk. So be gentle with yourselves. If you can't do anything else, do that. That is my prayer and my hope for all of us, that we can do that for ourselves. You're not obligated to extend yourself to the comfortability of other people who don't give a fuck about your well-being. Okay? Those are my wise words for this holiday season is it's okay that it's not okay. It's okay that it's not okay, and let's just acknowledge that and lean into it. Don't try and patch up a facade because you don't have to. So, have a wonderful evening or rest of the day wherever you are in the world. It's wonderful to see you, and I will see you again very soon. Peace.